Good morning to you, St. Lucia. As always, it's an absolute pleasure having you join us. We're coming to you live from the studios of the National Television Network, NTN Government Information Service, the GIS. I'm Lucia Joseph. On this Tuesday, it is the 15th of February, 2022. We are smack down in the middle of this month alongside the beautiful Homer DeMarc. Homer. And Homer, we're drawing closer to this wonderful celebration of Independence, our 43rd anniversary.
Yes, we are. Good morning, Lisa. I see you already getting into that mood.
Honey, I'm ahead. Colors. Mood. Yeah, Friday, National Colors Day, correct? I'm ahead. But you're not doing too badly. You're black and white.
Oh, yeah.
There okay. With something at the bottom.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. I'm there with you. Good morning to you, of course, listeners, viewers joining us on channel 122, our Facebook, our YouTube channels as well. We appreciate it, and we hope that you are also getting into the celebratory mood for independence. Quite a few activities on our calendar, and of course, we're going to, as we progress to the morning update this week, share that with you. You know, we always keep you informed as well. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs always keeping us updated as to our COVID-19 situation. And yesterday, the Ministry of Health confirmed a total of 56 new cases of COVID-19. These samples were processed on Sunday, that is the 13th of February, from a total of 257 samples, of which 194 samples were processed at the Ezra Long Laboratory, and 63 samples were processed at Laboratory Services and Consultations Limited. These samples were collected from the 10th of February 2022 to February 13th, and this number of positive cases makes up 21.79% of all the samples processed on that date. And in addition to that, the Ministry of Health, Wellness, Elderly Affairs also reported recovery of 139 individuals diagnosed with COVID-19, bringing the number of active cases in country to 1,459. The Ministry of Health also reported 2 new deaths. To date, the total number of deaths in country is 266, and the total number of COVID-19 related deaths is 83. And the Ministry of Health, by extension, the government of St. Lucia, is expressing condolences to the families of those loved ones. Vaccination, of course, continues today. If you're looking to get vaccinated, the places that you want to visit: the Grosley Human Resource Center, the V4RC Parish Hall, Larry Shoes Constituency Council as well, and the People's Discount, that is on Victoria Street in Castries, and that is between the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Right, Homer, and of course, terribly sad with the first pediatric death being recorded. It really goes to speak the importance of vaccination. Certainly, we need to protect those who are most vulnerable in our midst, and our children are indeed in that category. We also want to acknowledge that the Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, has made a full recovery from COVID-19. Though he was asymptomatic, he remained home, was working from home, and yesterday, Monday, he had his first day back on the job. And that first day included a big undertaking for the government, having launched the Social Assistance Fund, and that fund being initially financed by Lucia to the tune of $450,000. That fund is going to be within the Social Development Fund, the SSDF, and there you'll be able to assist those who are most vulnerable, most needy in our society. And of course, corporate St. Lucia is being called upon to assist the government in being able to keep that fund afloat. Now, so all of that great news, and even bigger news, we're getting into it, Herma. And as we said, Independence Anniversary, the events are on.
That's right.
And on the calendar is something I've always looked forward to. I love the art form, can't do it at all for myself, but I love and respect those who can, Homer, you know that. Anything I can't do, I have to love and respect it in others. So we're talking about Legacy Calypso. That is on the calendar of events for Independence 43. We have with us the founder and producer for Legacy Calypso. He is no stranger at all to the St. Lucian landscape, Mr. Teddy Francis. And alongside him is Corporate St. Lucia. And given that injection, the support that is needed there is Mr. Gordon Julian, who is the country manager for Republic Bank EC Limited. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us on this Tuesday to discuss what I think is perhaps one of the most exciting events on the calendar of activities, if I may say so myself, Teddy.
The most exciting event?
Yeah, okay, so the most exciting, and why is that, Teddy? I know why it's exciting for me, so I want to know why it's exciting for you.
And the public. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa, thank you, Huma, for welcoming us here and in this slot, in this forum. Legacy Calypso has built quite a reputation for itself the last 3 to 4 years. Being a staple and a sellout show on every occasion, having a nice blend of nostalgic vintage music along with some contemporary entertainment. We have found that Legacy has served well to go past the old stigma of the seasonality of Calypso. Often persons complain the perennial plea was for Calypso to go past the carnival season and to find relevance and a window, a platform outside of the traditional carnival season, and that we have done the last few years, as I say, to great reviews from the public, and in fact the public have put their money where their mouth is and turned out in large numbers with the sellout situation at every turn. We're looking forward to building on that after 4 years, and this year going towards the double celebration, 50 years of Calypso, the modern era, 72 to 2022, and 25 years of Soca Monarch. Lisa, I'm sure you didn't realize.
No, I didn't realize
25 years since, was Wilma around yet? The first Soca Monarch? We'll find out.
25 years?
Yes, 25
yes,
years.
I was.
You just
I was around, all right?
Around. Like 25 years, and interestingly, Pele won the first Soca Monarch. It's wheelchair bound. A song, interestingly, entitled I Can't Dance.
Yeah.
And he won the Soca Monarch. And then Yadi the next year with the Faye thing, and 25 years, lots of history. So we've decided to call it Double Glory, a celebration of the two. It's a novel thrust and in fact feature to introduce and annex the soca aspect to Calypso. It's normally been Calypso alone, so the double celebration, and there is a public aspect of having the public to join in the voting and selection of the final 25 from each genre, and indeed to rank them. We did have an epic event in 2004, 25 years of independence, Kaiso 25, I'm sure you remember that event at Pigeon Island, really historic, but then they simply lumped the 25 in no particular order. This year we're trying to go a step further, add to the excitement by ranking, so you might get to a situation where the public, the country decides 25 down to number 1, which is the best soca or Calypso of all times, which should be quite exciting.
I like how participatory it is for the public to really get involved and feel like they part of the decision-making process, Teddy.
Right.
Now,
there's also a panel of judges. They'll be weighted, the view of the public, but also the panel of judges to ensure there's balance. And in fact, there's no runaway rigging of the vote, you know.
So you have the popular vote, and okay, all right.
You know, we have had instances where persons scores every cousin, every nene, and every person to get vote for them, and so you wonder in the end that these are the best songs, you know.
Yeah, like what's going on?
Where some artists in their customary modesty just wouldn't manipulate anything, let the process flow, and so you're surprised in the end what results come through. So there's the seasoned, respected panel of impartial persons who will put some balance to it.
Right. Now, because I was asking that based on the fact that now we are so humbugged by COVID-19,
right.
And I thought that participatory aspect was really allowing people to come out of the sort of funk that we've really been in for
right.
the last 2 years with COVID. So how are we managing around the COVID impact?
Right, the CMO decides ultimately. As I said, we're quite ready for both, for the hybrid situation, some physical attendance, and we go in a virtual in a big way. to really have it broadcast throughout, both mainstream media and in fact online. And so that will be there. Persons throughout the diaspora will enjoy it regardless of the number, limited or not. The idea is to pitch to the CMO limited numbers, reduced numbers with vaccinated persons only, and to go ahead. And I think the public, the clamor is there to move past with Barbados and so relaxing all curfews and the whole world just relaxing and going. Legacy is well placed at month end staging to be a nice model, a nice guinea pig as it were, for starting to have persons in physical attendance. The protocols are there with mask and distancing and vaccination. If we follow the science, there's justification for allowing some persons at least to start back the process, you know?
Of being that sort of reintegration of societal movement, if you will.
And for the artists, the public too, but the artists too have their own frustrations of performing to a camera for 2 years. It's not the most stimulating to an artist to I mean, here's a stage performer. Whom would say it can be fun performing to a camera.
You need that energy.
Stage performer? Where did you get that from, Teddy?
Well, I was about to ask.
Have you never been on a stage?
I've never been on the stage.
Another Huma the Mark?
This is legacy calypso we're talking about. So let's get back to
Before Teddy,
I
rest
just thought I saw
assured.
Huma on a stage.
Teddy, rest assured, before this show is over, we'll get into Huma's legacy.
Legacy.
I assure you we will, because now you.
That sounds like a nice brand name, Huma's Legacy.
Yeah, you've piqued my interest. She's not going unescaped.
Right.
But I want to talk to Gordon there. Gordon, before we came on, you were disclosing, that affinity that you have to calypso. First of all, let's just get the Republic Bank's perspective first. Coming on stream, as I was saying earlier, corporate St. Lucia is so important, especially at this time, to be able to show that support, inject the support. From the bank's perspective, an easy pitch for it to be able to participate and be a partner?
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Herma. Good morning, viewers and listeners and folks joining via social media. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Let me first of all start off by congratulating Teddy Francis and his group and his team for conceptualizing this Legacy Calypso initiative and highlighting calypso and soca and the history and the talent and the skill in St. Lucia. And it's timely at this time that we're coming out from a pandemic. It's been 2 years and some that we've been sort of locked down sort of in a virtual world. And it's really nice that we can finally, have something that we can look forward to. And I know it's still going to be virtual. There's going to be a lot of virtual, but there's going to be some physical participation as well. So, well done. At Republic Bank, it really is a pleasure. It was an easy decision for us. Republic Bank been around. We see ourselves as a legacy bank ourselves. We've been around for 184 years. Headquartered in Trinidad and Tobago, land of soca and calypso, and Republic Bank, we have a long history of supporting the arts and the culture and sports and so forth. Being in St. Lucia, this is our third year. We celebrated our second anniversary in November last year. And we find that when we are ready, we are ready to do things. We've gone through all the hiccups and the different things, and we settled now. And we've been announcing a lot of our corporate social responsibility initiatives. Just yesterday, we announced the art of banking, which is really promoting, artists, encouraging them to come up with different, designs and so forth. And we had our marketing guy, Kelly Mitchell, yesterday, speaking about that. So that was launched. Our Power to Make a Difference program is going to be launched soon, and again, is really highlighting our thrust towards corporate social responsibility, not only in St. Lucia but across the region. So we're really happy to be associated with this initiative that Teddy and his group they've embarked upon. For me personally, I love calypso. I see myself as a Caribbean man, born in Dominica, lived in St. Kitts, Antigua, Barbados, and everywhere I live, I've gotten involved in calypso, carnival, and so forth. In fact, in St. Kitts, I used to judge the senior calypso show for many years. And I don't know how I got into that, but I loved it. and I also had a brief experience in singing calypso. I believe you try everything once, right? So somebody dared me to sing calypso. So I said, well, write me 2 songs and I will. And we had this internal, event, not public, but internal. And we had a lot of people from outside come and participate. And I sang 2 songs. Well, I performed 2 songs, I can't sing. And, I always say that where I lacked in ability, I made it up in confidence.
But did that give you
that reminds you of some local Calypsonians.
Absolutely. But I was going to ask you if that gave you a sort of renewed respect for performers, for the artists.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, how did I remember all these lines? And stay on cue. And the thing is that, our public, we're very unforgiving when it comes to Calypso, and even Queen should be the pageants and so forth, right? And we're just waiting for somebody to boss,
yeah,
right? To forget their lines, and the whole crowd just erupt, right?
Yeah.
And that's fun, and even we talk about the 10 pines and that sort of thing. I mean, I love the Calypso 10s, and it's where you see those Calypsonians, they relax. It's not a competitive type of thing. All the serious stuff delivered for the competition, right?
Right.
And the tent is where they try different things and the banter between the Calypsonians and the patrons. And those persons at the front of the stage with the placards and the colors and everything that goes on. It's really fun and exciting, And Calypso is a rich part of our culture. In St. Lucia, and I'm really happy that Legends have come up with this initiative to really bring that, resuscitate and get us out of this, this pandemic thing that we've been in for a long time. Right? So.
Teddy, Calypso is
Sorry, Lisa, just interesting. He said Legends. Interesting. Despite all the promotion, many persons end up seeing Legends as the show approached. Even Gordon said Legends still a legacy.
Sorry.
And it happens a lot in the promotion, and it's okay. It's the same idea.
It's the same idea because
it's just a celebration of legends.
Right, exactly, because those who are a part of it are legends themselves.
But it's just interesting. It happened to him like it does to almost all the patrons.
Right.
You're having legends again. It's a legacy.
Legacy.
Maybe you need to rethink, Teddy.
Good catch.
They'll acknowledge the correction, but still going, oh, I'm legacy. Okay, I'll be at legends. I'll be coming to legends. But it's good. It's all,
It's all good. It's all into it. But it also speaks, Teddy, and as listening very closely to Gordon, and for us, Calypso, it's a sort of heartbeat. I think we often describe it as a sort of pulse of the society and so forth. And of course, it emanated from that very thing. But it also adds a particular dimension, I think, to our carnival celebrations. You know that carnival is coming up once you hear Calypso.
Right.
And of course, by the time soca hits, you're hitting the road.
Right.
So, from your perspective, Teddy, in terms of what Calypso, what the music has been able to do for us culturally, in your former life, you were very much immersed in that cultural aspect of St. Lucia. Just talk to us about that importance of the music to us culturally.
Right. First, I just want to allow me to just allude to a comment made by Gordon about how intimidating it was once he had dipped his feet into the art form. How mammoth the task was of actually participating. I remember in my days of covering in the media, covering Calypso, which was a big aspect of the celebrations, just peeping backstage and doing the pre competition interviews backstage and just peeping through the wings and seeing the audience. In those days, almost 9,000 persons. That alone, forget the whole stage. I was wondering, how does one face that crowd of Calypso fans are boisterous and cynical, and I just thought that was so insurmountable as a task. And the respect came then for Calypso. But you mentioned Calypso within the celebrations, carnival, the culture, and one point we're proud of is that despite our complaints, we are persons who are always seeking better and asking for improvements. But St. Lucia, interestingly, the Calypso aspect in St. Lucia is more central to the overall celebration than it is in most other countries, including Trinidad and Tobago, with this thrust of soca and the party aspect and bias and the lopsided approach to the carnivals, with party being the big thing. Many countries, Grenada, St. Vincent, with great traditions, Antigua, Trinidad and Tobago is not as central. The average, my contemporaries and so don't go near Calypso in Trinidad and Tobago. They attend their fetes, and somewhere in the fete somebody say, oh, Chuck just won the crown. It's not central. I'm sure you sense that.
Correct, yeah.
In St. Lucia, firefighting. Grenada and St. Vincent have fallen off badly. And Gordon's country, homeland, Dominica, in fact, is one of the, along with St. Lucia, where it's really strong and central to the celebrations. We still all follow calypso. The media is very much into it. In Trinidad and Tobago, down to the traditional newspapers, they hardly acknowledge calypso. The hardcore persons, particularly returning nationals to Trinidad, the more senior ones, go to the calypso tents. The Dimanche Gras show in Trinidad, the big pre-Jouvet show, is now not a shadow of what it used to be. Persons had their tent. Again, only the senior folks over 60 go near that. And so in St. Lucia, that persons from all demographics still focus and respect calypso, and it still resonates in the season. The popular stations still play calypso. It's really a testimony to the fact that we have kept that tradition alive, and the balance between the tent fun aspect and the serious commentary and so later on, a really healthy and a rich tradition. We must be proud of that calypso is still so alive, despite our complaints that it's waning and so on. It's still very much alive, you know.
So we should be careful now not to commercialize it too heavily.
Right.
As we see in the other islands.
Yeah. In fact, Gordon's point, there was a complaint one time I remember of persons thinking that one of the tents at the time, ambassadors it was, were guilty of being too serious, that early in the season, heavy commentary and analysis of and he thought, that we came here for a balance of fun, some laughter, you know, some party calypsos, and then some serious stuff. As we get to semi-finals and finals, we'll deal with the heavy competitive stuff. And even then a broader debate about whether calypso should be all serious, all heavy. I mean, the examples of people like the Mighty Sparrow winning a crown with something like Both of Them, a song about him dating two sisters. So calypso is about a topic chosen and how well it is brought out through the construction of the song, the composition. Nobody ever said it needs to be 5 heavy verses with serious analysis of politicians and the progress of the country, and you know. So all these forms make calypso. In fact, one time there was a stipulation that there were 2 rounds. One round had to be what they call in the spirit of carnival, to ensure the show wasn't too heavy and boring. So we did commentary or whatever in one round, but one song had to be in the spirit. Steel band, jump up, you know.
And we've had, I think of T.C. Brown with I Like.
Well,
when you know he won the crown.
Very historic and controversial. Some detractors were shocked and appalled at how could you win a song if I Like with Solange, right? I Like. What wrong with that? It's seen as a light one, and he won with that and a pan song. So you know, but it proved the point then that the proper composition, proper construction of the song, and also the performance. People keep forgetting we prejudge songs. That song better than how could that song win? But it's how you perform the song. There's a whole act. It's the visuals. It's the presentation. Makes it worthy on competition night. You know.
The mastery there.
Sometimes we prejudge. You know,
we always do.
We look at the song, we listen to it. The song nice on the radio. But it's on the night of the show. You know how it's performed, and how does it fit within the criteria that is set up for the calypso, and all those things decides. You know, but you know, as patrons, we go there with our own mindset. That's who should win because we like that song. It gets more airplay in the radio and that kind of thing. So we figure, okay, that person must win the crown. Right? And then the night of the show, they don't perform. Right?
The prejudging is but there's so much emotion. It's such an emotive art form. So much emotion. We have days where persons, the crowds by the thousands, the whole country, just waiting almost ceremoniously to crown someone. They've pre-decided who the winner should be. The Chantiers, for example, the Herb Black with a bottle throwing at Pep when the country decided, finally, Herb Black, the roots man, the grassroots man is going to win. Here's the best songs. And the judges thought otherwise, and the bottle thrown at Pep about twice in his career because they thought the system favored Pep. And, you know, on the score sheet, perhaps, it's well justified that Pep won, but persons had come full of emotion that Herb Black is going to win the crown. The 2 Ashantiers, when Ashanti won back-to-back, it happened too. And the stories we are replete with stories of judges making a quick exit long before the announcement, making sure that they were in the cars heading up north before they didn't dare stay in the venue before.
I remember those times because then it had become a rule that the judges would exit and then they would make the announcement. And then it also came the time where there would be absolutely no drinks served in any glass, anything, and just so that we can prevent this bottle throwing incidents.
It happened.
So we've had some colorful times in our calypso. Calypso.
There's an image in my mind of Shelley Black, was the popular brand manager, brewery manager of the brewery, Peter, big sponsor. He had about 3 incidents of shielding using a very true feast. He was representing shielding from missiles from the crowd. But it was all part of the fun. It didn't deter anybody from coming the next year, and really a glorious era. And that's what we want to capture to and celebrate the writers, to acknowledge them, composers as we go through. I mean, the people like 1999, the 2 years I keep saying are 2 of the best carnivals. 1999 is the first year we moved our carnival to July. It was just a dream year. All the music was good, everything. That's the year of Bachelor, and I saw what you did last night. That's Invader with Laja, Pep. All the soca was good. Lots of music. Short Pants, the minister was singing. It was just so much happening. And I just remember it was an absolute rainstorm. It rained the whole day, folks. The whole day. But not a person stayed home. There were about 10,000 people in the park with their boots and rain and Bachelor and I remember Bachelor and Invader. I keep telling them the crowd and the judges never heard them, because the crowd sang every word of these songs. And one of them, I tease him all the time, he had quite a few errors in his rendition, but the judges never picked it up because the crowd sang every word in it. By then, it was really, and there was hardly much sponsorship at the time, but the feeling, just the passion and persons, the people from 6 o'clock, the Calypso started 8 o'clock, 5:36, going up with the coolers, walking up Marshall. Those were more peaceful days then. Walking through Marshall with the coolers and their flasks of food and all classes going up. It's really a glorious era, and we're celebrating the memories too, the music and the memories as we go through the 25 years for soca and 50 years for Calypso.
Yeah, we want to take in a little bit of Bachelor, but before we do that, the point that you just made there, Teddy, I thought it's an interesting one. That not much sponsorship, you said, at that time. So, and I'm interested in, from Gordon's perspective, remove that love for Calypso. But when a corporate entity is making that decision, to sponsor something, that doesn't necessarily bring returns to that entity.
Financial.
Yes, for financial returns.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that then, purely from that commercial perspective, that the bottom line, if you will?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And again, when you make those decisions, it's not really about direct financial returns, but as a corporate entity operating in a market, it's more than just granting loans and accepting deposits. As a company that's serious about the market that it operates in, you have to support what's important and the cultural aspects, sports, health, culture. So we see ourselves, we take that role and responsibility very, very seriously in terms of supporting the things and the areas, the priority areas, in St. Lucia that aligns with our corporate social responsibility objective. Right? So that's how we look at it. I do want to comment on as a banker, it would be remiss of me not to speak on the business side of the art form. And oftentimes, we go to Calypso, we listen, we like the music, we enjoy it, we have a great time. But sometimes we forget that the Calypsonians, they too have, the mortgages to pay and their families to feed and so forth. And for them, it's a business. I mean, they have a skill, they have a talent, and they have to be paid for it. And, I find sometimes Calypsonians, they not always look at the business side, take it very seriously, and that brings to mind things like copyright issues. How do they protect their intellectual property in terms of making sure that they get returns from those production years into the future. So these are things that that is near and dear to my heart. As well, those guys, when you win a crown, you get, you may get a car. In those days, you see a car, you get $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in cash. How do they manage those funds? And I think sometimes, we have to help them in terms of managing the business side, of Calypso, so that they themselves can at least they can elevate themselves, based on their skill and their talent and what they bring to the art form.
All right. Speaking about the skill and the talent, we'll take in some there of Bachelor, singer-songwriter, teacher.
You love the audience acting up.
Get tested, no mercy, no sympathy. Things change change. Nothing is the way it used to be. So strange, like HIV closing in on me. Gone were the days when kids were the casualties, and the sharers of needles got all the STDs. But nowadays, it's a plague. There's nowhere to run and hide. Your own husband or your wife have it secretly inside. I'm getting paranoid, I'm getting mental, afraid I go drop down dead. So even before she say hello, I prepared, I done covering me head, and I give it strictly condom, condom, condom. I don't give a damn who vex loose. Condom, condom, condom. Rest in peace if you don't share my views. No mercy, no sympathy. I declaring war on HIV. Don't tell me you want no skin to skin. Is rubber you getting? Rubber, rubber. So back at done. Rubber, rubber. No mercy, no sympathy. How sad, all of this was not supposed to be. Things bad, it might soon erase humanity. From the beginning the Lord told man to abstain, but God made the thing much sweeter than sugar cane. So when man got a taste, the whole universe lose control. People rape, prostitute, others ventured in the wrong hole. They desecrate it and pervert it, and the Lord look what they create. So if I don't have no protection, I'll wait, I'm not going through the gate, and I give in strictly condom, condom, condom. I don't give a damn who vex lose. Condom, condom. Rest in peace if you don't share my views. No mercy, no sympathy. I declaring war on HIV. If you don't want me to put on socks, you're not getting, you're not getting, you're not getting, you're not getting. Condomize, condomize.
No mercy, no sympathy.
It's sweet, that is what them skinny people say. 6 feet, on the ground is where they'll be someday. Many years ago since HIV started the war, the things that I did, I doing them no more. Check out AIDS, playing games, trying to fool the human race. It does appear like a thief, only when she winds her waist. So many dying, some in denial. They're frightened to take the test, so whether she nice or sexy. Oh yes, I wearing bulletproof vest, and I giving strictly condom, condom, condom. I don't give a damn who vex lose.
Condom, condom, condom.
Rest in peace if you don't share my views.
No mercy, no sympathy.
I declaring war on HIV. If my Durex make you itch, don't vex. I have all kind of latex, Rough Rider, Wet and Wild, choice condoms.
No mercy, no sympathy.
Some say the condom go make the children stray. No way, don't believe a word them people say. Time to wake up and face the reality. There are many young people active sexually, and all the rest that remain who never ate the fruit, they will bite very soon, and that is the bitter truth. So let we preach, spread the word, and maybe they'll be like me. She could be a Jew or Muslim. Vini say condom we cabali, and I give in strictly
Condom, condom, condom.
I don't give a damn who vex rules.
Condom, condom, condom.
Rest in peace if you don't share my views.
No mercy, no sympathy.
I declaring war on HIV. I done for the night, I finished teach. Time to practice what I preach.
No mercy, no sympathy.
Oh boy, what a performance that was, wasn't it?
It was.
That crowd, so, and you know,
Yeah.
you saw that sea of people out there, but Bachelor has this way of being able to take some of the more taboo subjects in our
Right,
society and put that pen to paper. He's dealing with all of the things that we're afraid to talk about, but he's doing it in a way that it's non-threatening, if you will.
Not offensive.
Yes, yes, it's not offensive. That's the word. It's not offensive at all, but it tells you what the actual story is.
Right. And provokes reaction either way, and gets persons talking, and that's what calypso is about. I say the whole carnival, all the carnival arts and calypso being very central to it, very confrontational, very conflict prone, based on conflict and healthy conflict. And so I remember one time as director of carnival bemoaning to myself the fact that the carnival is too smooth. It approach and resemble more jazz. It's like a whole carnival, not an issue, not a calypsonian threatening to pull out, no song band. Is that carnival? It was 2003, I think it was at CDF. You see, like, it went well, but that's too placid, just too tranquil for carnival. Carnival, somebody must be banned, threatened to pull out a meeting.
That is true, because actually, Teddy, again, in the former life, being in the mainstream media, we had that line quite often in the lead. Carnival, calypso, synonymous with controversy.
Yeah, always.
That line must be said.
I said the next year, let's at least fabricate a controversy, something, going there. Because I remember having a row with Pete Ninval, who was DBS editor, quite a row. You protective of your carnival, 02, 03, no incident. And there were some Calypsonians quarreling about the venue, the choice of venue. And here came Pete Ninval. He had the acknowledged carnival. Came running with his camera, and Pete and Steve, his cameraman. Yes. I said, wait, Pete, just get out of here. You never came near us for 2 years. You just a whiff of controversy in carnival is there, Are they pulling out? It was so fun. We laughed about it at the end. Because
so then I have to thank you for the fact that I always was on the carnival beat.
Right.
So that's okay. So now I'm getting the backstory.
Because Pete is a journalist we respect a lot and really, really respected. But at the time we had a little row and we laughed about it in the end. Just the controversy in carnival, the disappointment for the media fraternity. Nothing happening here. Nobody being fired. Nobody resigning. Nobody, And the prizes paid on time. How does that happen in carnival? They pay prizes. Who does that?
Yes.
They want artists going to the media. They want the prizes. They late. And so when it's too orderly, it's something I've thought and found. I don't know Gordon's reflection. I go often to most of the carnivals, and Barbados crop over I found for a long time was just a little too organized, too orderly. I thought there's something called bacchanal that you need to feel. It's just so orderly. Everything, every garbage bin in place at every. I see already, I see you're just too good and too orderly. You want a bit of the kind of Trini origin where there's quality, there's the outpouring of creativity, but conflict in not destroying the carnival, but a kind of healthy conflict. The energy is clashing, We are the baddest. It's based on that. The Calypsonian mighty this, the Lord this, I'm the baddest, you're not good, I'm good. There is, you cannot be too soppy and too corny in carnival,
Because you need to be able to create, as you say, the rivalry. The size. People need to come, they need to know, guys, so who you backing, guys, admit you backing. I understand that.
Kennedy Pollitt alluded to that one time in an article, that he liked the standard of calypso had risen, it was the early 2000s, but he missed the passion, the rivalry of the Pep versus Invader era, Ashanti versus Her Black, There's one time, one calypso finals, Eve, downtown Castries, almost divided with the system people we used to tease, the bangles and so with the Pep t-shirts, but the grassroots with the Invader. And well, healthy, the two calypsonians enjoyed it, it was good. But everybody backing aside and the disappointment if you lost, or, But he felt that despite, it's not about a good standard, but calypso at its essence, the quintessence of it is a rivalry and a kind of clashing, who's better, who's badder, it cannot be too much of you can't be too gentlemanly in that art form,
And then there must be just this, I think throughout, and even for legacy, you have the Tiffin aspect, but even through the legacy as well, you may find that there's always this one sort of unifying figure. And I think Ashanti is that for me.
Right.
That no matter who you may come out on the night to support, everybody will get behind Ashanti if he's on the cards.
Yeah.
And so it is a fun and interesting place to be.
Yeah, it is.
And so speaking about that sort of controversy, art by its nature, it's so subjective. It depends on how you're looking at it. So for Republic Bank, you having this competition, the art of banking, just from what Teddy has said, are you a little jittery at all that, having that open invitation for artists to be free to create? Your competition.
At Republic Bank, we're never afraid of a challenge. And there's always excitement when it comes to Republic Bank, and you never know. We keep the surprises coming, right? So the art of banking, I actually love the ring of this thing, the art of banking. Who would have thought banking is an art, right? So the art of banking, it really invites emerging artists that you probably would not have known about, who have hidden talents or talents, 18 years and over, to create a piece, a piece of artwork based on certain themes, certain banking themes like mortgages, credit cards, accounts. So you could go into the bank and pull out a flyer, look around to give you some ideas to create your piece of artwork. And then there are two prizes to be won. So there is a grand prize, 2,000 US. And there is a People's Choice Award. So it invites, the public at large to make a decision in terms of, to determine who is the best piece of artwork. And the People's Choice Award gets 1,000 US. But more than that though, because Republic Bank, we operate in 14 countries, as far as Ghana, throughout the Caribbean, it creates an opportunity where emerging artists could get their work, give them global exposure. Right, which you can't pay for that. More than the 2,000 US that they stand to win, but the fact that you could get that exposure, that global exposure around the world by just merely participating in this competition, it's priceless, really. So we're encouraging, St. Lucians, persons across the region to participate in this art of banking, and let us see what comes up with, and you never know.
And
There'll be lots of surprises there, right?
We never know what's going to happen. We want to get to another piece that we have of Wally, coincidentally, the gentleman who brought us Where the Money Gone. Let's get to Wally.
Wally, where the money gone, man? Where the money gone, Wally?
Up with Kosa, the Harry Bank man, going back to St. Vincent on the way from London. He watched me and shake his head, and he said, "You understand how we squander that bread?" Yes, we guys our association. He thought he was doing well, how we end up, so he want me tell. And he saw the Harry Bank man decide to ask Wally the question, "Where the money gone? Wally, where the money gone? Where the money gone? Wally, where the money gone?" I'm searching for answer, Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Answer for some question. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Get out of this situation. I wish the Lord could answer me, and I want the Lord to work. Come with it. Well, Lord. In the somewhere. Head up. Boss, I say for years, all you guys on top. Say that you never hear a Kaiser finance flop. That is cause for worry. How will you end up so wally? Look how Kaiser on the rise with motoka and big money prize. For years, and you could have brag. They're planning with a carry your flag. He said, "Boy, I'm telling you, Frank, I hope it's going Lord help me. Lord help me. Answer for a question. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Get out of this situation. I wish the Lord could answer me, and I want the Lord to help. Come with it. Well, Lord. One leap was tell me, one time you were deputy. I'm sure you could answer me. Tell me, was something fishy? How that money gone way? Was I laugh and say, yeah. All you get sponsor for so. Yeah, all that he claiming to know. In song you give man pressure. Your own house stay in order. You waiting on me to explain. Ask me the question again and again. Where the money gone? Where the money gone? Where the money gone? Where the money gone? I'm searching for answer. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Answer for a question. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Get out of this situation. I wish the Lord could answer me, and I want the Lord to help me. So morning St. Lucia, our boys is same afraid, same thing happening again. From tickets come and bubble, all you wear recovering at all. Kaiso none is the one who's in. I wonder which person gaining. Don't take Kaiso for a joke. He's in pressure and not hard work. I look to the Lord for answer. I'm feeling shame to look at what's where the money gone. Where the money gone? Where the money gone? Where the money gone? I'm searching for answer. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Answer for a question. Lord help me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Get out of this situation. I wish the Lord could answer me, and I want the Lord to come with it. Sing it in. Why, Lord? And yeah, man. What the money?
Second runner-up with
Right, you couldn't help. I mean, there we were doing a little groove over. You couldn't help. I mean, Wally is naturally born for the stage, and he doesn't really need a sort of push for him to get into character, because Wally's songs require that sort of character.
Right.
But that night, Teddy, the energy of that crowd was just on another level. And so you can see that Wally was so immersive that, and even as he was doing his jump on stage, you could see that he and that crowd were just one. You saw the wave, a literal wave. Oh,
yeah.
Those were the days, Teddy.
Yeah, he really is a very good calypsonian, a performer, dramatizing the theme. And as they say in calypso, the song on paper or on a recording is one thing, but to actually bring it out and become the person telling the story is another art. And some calypso, even some people with very good songs, have not quite acquitted themselves well in rendering exactly what the writer had in mind. And there's something I tease about that the French, they call a singer or vocalist, a performer, interprète, meaning interpreter. And I just find very interesting that in a true sense that's what it means, that somebody has a composition, an idea, a concept, and written and recorded, and how well the singer actually interprets it and brings it out for the very action, the voice, the intonation. And in a sense, that's what calypsonians do so very well to bring out. That's why Ashanti is so legendary, that some of the compositions are so delicate and technical. Many think that a number of his iconic compositions, only Ashanti could have sung them, you know, the way he brings them out and the retention to remember every word. And a song like Lucian Population with almost 6 verses very
how
wordy
do you do
verses.
that,
Every chorus is different. That too. I mean, calypso, at least you have a crutch that when you get to the chorus, you breathe, relax, that you know the chorus. But to change every chorus within a song is very challenging. And Ashanti and a few others have managed to do it. In fact, Ashanti is about the only calypsonian now, I can confirm. We must have about 80 compositions. And at a second's notice, he could sing every one, every line, every emphasis, most of the more seasoned calypsonians confess that even you ask them for 2 of the songs, you have to give them 2 days to go and rehearse it and come back. But Ashanti downtown in the boulevard anywhere would sing any of the songs, and that is real genius. That is,
And that's why for me, he is that figure, and of course Papa Vida for me comes in at a very, very close second. But for legacy, let's zero in more on that today. When is Legacy taking place?
On the 26th of February.
And we talk, and so yet because of COVID protocols, we still a little bit on the iffy side with the hybrid affair.
Approach. And any day now we'll announce it. Also, we'll be doing about 3 days of the voting. To keep the excitement and the kind of momentum, 3 days we'll announce it, the flash, and on the platforms where you go and select your 25. The public is in the panel, and so we go straight away. So throughout the weekend and most of next week, they'll be blasting the actual details of the venue, if tickets are available, where they're available. We know that'll cause a rush.
Yes, it's going to cause a rush.
The patrons, the habitués of the tent and the calypso performances always feel slighted if some newcomers, some Johnny-come-latelys get tickets ahead of them. So you have to be mindful of that too. The persons who've supported consistently must be given some priority as you approach, in all fairness.
So you're sending out special invitations?
Not really. Maybe reserve some tickets for them, but it's democratic and persons have a right to buy, but you do have to give some attention to some persons who have really supported from the start. All the editions of Legacy, and even in the wider Calypso, are always there to give them consideration. After all, it will be broadcast so persons could enjoy otherwise. And of course, persons have suggested the people view approach, where nowadays you could, with technology, have persons to pay a ticket $50 or through a diaspora. But we're just thinking it is plausible in the end, but with independence, the people's thing, you want to be careful of that.
You don't want to take away from that sort of...
We keep saying in Carnival, a major stakeholder persons often overlook are the public. They are stakeholders, they're a major part. Calypso and Carnival is really theatre, street theatre, or indoor venue. They are an important component, so they must be considered. And so when you have a national effort, independence, government endorsed, and so on, you must shout out the Independence Committee who have fully endorsed a Legacy, as Lisa says, one of the highlights of the celebrations. So you must consider persons viewing to treat them properly. And maybe, I always say the aunt at Pavé and Mondador and what's the main street in Ancillary? Or Clark Street in Viewfort. What's the main street in Ancillary, Lisa? Anybody knows?
Oma.
I can't tell you I can't answer, but I can tell you the main street in Canary.
What's it?
Well, I guess the forward would be, it doesn't have any, the forward would be the main street, and then there are the inner street.
The arteries,
You're trying, Teddy. I see what you're doing. You've taken us really, Teddy, on a journey here, and for me, a lot of the bits were history. It was like a history lesson. Right. But looking to Legacy, name drop for us. Who can we expect taking the stage?
Well, I'll be totally wrong and condemned for ever doing that, because it's open and it's the judges and the person. So for me to show any prejudice or any kind of bias, as much as I have my own thoughts, I'm not allowed to. Okay. Because in the end, it's the public and the judges who decide.
Well, I have mine. I know for sure I need Suzette on that list there with her black. I mean, if that's not there, Teddy. Yeah. So I can't wait for me to get the directives on how to go participate and get Suzette on there. And and don't even get me started as to all the reasons why Suzette is supposed to be on that in the very top 3.
Well, so, I hear you. I'm ignoring you.
No problem. That's okay.
He's not trying to get himself involved in this at all.
No. Before there's a calypso about me, and the voting. But I can't talk. I'm not allowed to talk opinion, but facts are that the fewer songs have ever destroyed, as we say, flattened the season like Suzette. I mean, the impact on one particular season, there's hardly been a song in a particular year that so flattened the entire Carnival. In fact, the evidence being that he won both Calypso Monarch and Groovy Monarch. which is in fact, so the claim is that some of his detractors, some of the little envy, move quickly to have a stipulation that going forward nobody could win or compete in two categories, in two genres.
It's one song.
Yeah,
so
with one
that's
song.
interesting.
And in fact, the joke was that he won Calypso Monarch, he won Groovy, and had he sped up the song a little bit, a few more beats, the same song, he would have won Power
You would have
Soca too.
loved the Power Soca. Teddy, I'd love to have
want
you back
everything, you
for
know?
us to be able to get, because you gave us such backstories there.
Yeah.
And, because we see things happen at the front
Right.
end of things, but we don't know what would have initiated changes and so forth.
Right.
You must come back to with us, Teddy,
Thanks
to
for
give
the
us some of
invitation.
those
Thanks for the
things.
invitation.
Standing invitation to you. And don't forget that you need to look out for Legacy. The directions are going to come.
Legacy Double Glory.
Legacy Double Glory. We will be keeping you updated here as well. Homer, we didn't get to you, but we'll be
Next
getting
week.
to you next time.
Maybe next
and
week.
we want to.
When the voting is started.
But
But don't worry, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
With
What do you call
Roger,
it? Homer's
Roger
Legacy?
is flinging his arms at the back there as
Tell
always.
us to keep going? What
No,
do you think?
that means wrap up. That wrap up. And so, Teddy, I want to thank you for coming through. It has really been a fantastic time having you.
Thanks.
And of course,
A pleasure.
to the country manager for Republic Bank. Thank you so much to Gordon Julian, who had to exit because the time.
Right.
Very busy man. So we want to thank you so much, St. Lucia, for being part of our lively conversation this
Yes.
morning. And we'll be seeing you next time. Listen, Homer, the morning update.